Hello students, a very good morning. So students, in last class we have ended the concept for the hydrostatic. So let's discuss today the concepts for the hydrodynamics, and first, as in hydrodynamics, we will discuss for the viscosity. After that we will move further for the different principles like Bernoulli theorems, and also along with that Stokes law, and these all we will see. So first, here in case of viscosity, if we will move for the hydrodynamic, then up to now we have seen a number of conceptual and numerical problems whenever the liquid is stationary, that is at rest, that is not moving at all. But what will happen when liquid will starts to move? So we know whenever there will be starting of the relative motion, then as liquids particles or molecules that will displace from their equilibrium position, and due to that one they will start to oppose any kind of change in their position or the state of rest or motion. So in that time, obviously, due to its inertia and due to its elastic behavior, they will start to oppose, and a restoring force will start to work in this case. So that restoring force is known as viscous force, and this property of retardation of or the opposition of relative motion of liquid, that is known as viscosity. So viscosity concept will arise whenever there will be the relative motion between liquid's layers, or there will be the motion of the liquid here. Then after, in the sense of viscosity, here the scientists they have worked and they have used the dimensional analysis concept to derive the formulas here, and also this it means that viscosity concept is purely experimental concept. We can easily understand it by the experiments. So first formula that is given by Poiseuille, and in honor of him also we are using unit of viscosity as Poise. So here Poiseuille formula was what? He has calculated the rate of flow of liquid through any tube. So that rate of flow of liquid per unit area per second in the tube, that is depending on some of the factor. On the first factor, it is depending on the pressure difference between two ends of the tube, and the second factor, radius of the tube, it is depending on that one. The third factor on which it is depending, that is viscosity of the liquid, and on the fourth factor, that is length of that tube here. So on these four factors it is depending, and if we will use dimensional analysis to solve, then this rate of flow of liquid through any of the tube per second, that is now known as here, that is calculated as pi p r to the power 4 upon 8 eta L. So this is now the formula that we have got. Now after this one, again Stokes law we have discussed. So in the case of Stokes law, the concept of critical velocity, that terminal velocity we have found out. So terminal velocity, that what is this one? For this case, first let's see the Stokes law, let's revise that one. So Stokes law is operating for the suppose spherical balls we are throwing that spherical ball. So by the experiment we can see after some times, after some depth, that spherical ball that loses its acceleration, and after that point it goes to the bottom of that liquid or that container in which it is thrown by a constant velocity. So that constant velocity is known as terminal velocity, and this is whole concept of the Stokes law. So first we can easily get it by, suppose this is now a liquid container we have. In this liquid container here a ball is thrown with some velocity. So if ball is throwing with some velocity, then with time its velocity will start to increase. It means that the ball is accelerating in downward direction with some here acceleration, and also the weight of the ball that is acting in downward direction, that is to z, that is acting in downward. And whenever we know that any of the ball or any substance that is submerged in water, then it will displace some of the water, and due to the displacement of the water molecules, they start to restore their original configuration, original position due to their elastic property. So they oppose of any kind of change in their position, so they apply some force against to the motion of the ball. So that is known as upthrust, or also that is known as buoyant force. So that buoyant force will act in now in upward direction due to movement of this ball. Third one, that is the concept of Stokes here. Whenever this ball will move, then the liquid particles that are in touch with this ball, they will come in motion, but the liquid particles that are away to this ball, that are again remain at rest. So it means that some part of the liquid that comes into motion, but other part is even at rest. So this in this way there is a relative motion between the liquid's layers that is started. So obviously due to the viscosity property, liquid opposes this relative motion, means the particles that are at rest, they have tendency to bring these particles that are in motion to also rest, and also the particles that are in motion, they have tendency to bring the rest particles into motion. So in this way relative force will act, that is the viscous force will act, and that will also oppose the movement of the ball, because the here relative motion between layers of the liquid, that is generated because of the motion of the ball. So they originally oppose it by applying a force in upward direction, that is due to viscous force. So overall we can see there are three forces that is acting. Two forces are in upward direction, one force is in downward direction. So if we will see the upward directional force, that is Fv plus Fb here, and the downward directional force, that is here mass into gravity. So because of gravity it is moving down, as also this factor is constant. Here this buoyant force is constant because same volume is displaced every time by this spherical ball, but this factor Fb, that will change because of the change in this velocity, that is through which the ball is moving in liquid. So if this factor is continuously increasing, so this force will continuously increase, and if in starting this upward directional force is less than downward directional force, ball will move in downward direction obviously, but at a time there will be a time when due to continuous increase in this factor Fb, value will obtain for which these factors will be equal to this one, means the upward directional force will counterbalance downward directional force, and at that time the ball will face no net force. So if it is not facing any net force, means suppose at this point the ball will have this situation, for this one the acceleration in the ball becomes 0, because net force is 0 there, and if acceleration will become 0, then velocity will be constant. It means that from here the ball will go to the bottom of this container by a constant velocity. So this constant velocity is called now the terminal velocity. So this is the concept of now terminal velocity, that can be calculated by using these formulas here. So according to Stokes, the force, that is viscous force, this is now also depending on some of the factors. It is depending on area of the again each layer, then next one dv by dx also, it is means rate of change of velocity, it is depending on that one with distance. So how the velocity is changing with distance, it is wholly depending on this thing. So we can write Fv is directly proportional to A dv by dx. So Fv will be equal to eta A dv by dx from here. So from this we can easily calculate the viscous force that is obtained due to the relative motion. Now this was all for the parts of viscosity, Poiseuille formula and Stokes law. So let's now solve some conceptual problem on these topics here first of all, then we will move further, because the number of topics we have, at the same time we will revise, then after revision again when we will start to solve conceptual and numerical problem, you will forget that. So let's first solve for the viscosity. First question we have, water flows faster than honey, why? So this question's answer you know already. Reason is that here honey has a greater viscosity than the water. So if viscosity is greater than rate of flow of water here, that is given by the Poiseuille law, rate of flow of liquid. So this has formula pi p r to the power 4 upon 8 eta L. So as B is inversely proportional to eta, so for which viscosity will be less, that will move faster. So obviously water will have less viscosity than the honey here. So that's why water flows faster than honey. Next question after this. Machine parts are jammed in winter season. Why? So as in winter season, the lubricants oils that we are using, that's viscosity starts to change. Reason viscosity is depending on temperature. So if temperature decreases, then that time viscosity increases. So in winter season, as viscosity of liquid increases, that viscosity means greater opposition force for the motion that will be there, and as greater opposition force will be there, then that time machines will start to be jammed. So that's why in case of winter season, we are choosing the different lubricants oils than the summer seasons. So machines that we are using that needed a particular lubricants oil in different seasons, otherwise they will not work properly. Next question after this, discuss the effect of temperature on the viscosity of liquid. So just now I have told you with decrease in temperature there will be increase in the viscosity. So it means now here viscosity of liquid that decreases with increase in temperature obviously. The next one after this, explain viscosity. Give some examples where is its part being played in nature. So as viscosity, you know that obviously viscosity is the property of liquid by virtue of which it opposes any kind of relative motion between its layers. So next one for here, if we have to see some of the applications related to the study of the viscosity, that are like in chemist, first of all chemists that use this study to determine molecular weights and shape of large organic molecules such as proteins and cellulose. Second one, in industries we are using in measurement of viscosity and its variation with temperature that are useful in judging whether a given lubricant oil is useful for the machineries or not. The third one, in railway terminals, the liquids of high viscosities are used as the buffer. So it means now viscosity knowledge give us a lot of information, what kind of oils we should use, what kind of oils that can be used to use just like as the buffers at railway terminals and at all. Next question after this, the sides of horizontal pipe carrying dirty water gets dirty. So what is the reason behind this one? So as whenever the dirty water that is flowing through the horizontal pipe, the velocity of water that is different at different points in the layer. So it means if we will see in any of the horizontal pipe, here this is the central layer, again number of layers we have. So if we will see the velocity of these different layers that are different here. So velocity will be maximum along the axis of the pipe. That means along this central portion, this will have maximum velocity, and this velocity will start to decrease whenever we will move to towards the walls of the tube here. So it means that the layers that is in touch of the wall, that will have minimum velocity. So it means that due to that minimum velocity, the relative motion exists there, that will be also very less here. So it means that here a net dragging force that will act from this point to this point in the liquid, means continuously if we will see the relative motion between this maximum velocity layer and between this walls that is at which the layer has minimum velocity, that will be just largest, and due to that one this layer will have, and it has extra momentum, and that's why it will start to impart some momentum to the layers that is in touch with the wall to bring it also in the motion. So in that case it will start to apply a force from here to here. It means that if it is applying a force from central portion axis of the pipe to the walls of the pipe, then whatever the dirts that it is carrying, that will start to drag towards the walls of the container, and due to that it sticks there and the walls of the pipes that becomes dirty now. So this is now the reason behind the different layers are moving with different velocity, and that's why they are feeling a net force towards the walls of the this pipe here. Next one, after this question we have here, what is the terminal velocity? Discuss on which factor it is dependent on. So as terminal velocity, just now I have told you, terminal velocity is the velocity at which after some times in the liquid any of the ball that is moving, and for which one the upper directional force that becomes equal to the downward directional force. And it is now, if you will calculate that by the method I have told you, that this is obtained as 2 by 9 r square by n, or eta also you can write it, that is rho minus sigma into z, where here this r is what, that is now the spherical body, that's radius it is, eta is the viscosity of the liquid, rho is the density of here material, and also sigma is the density of the liquid in which it is just flowing. So by using this one we can calculate velocity. So from here we can see the velocity, terminal velocity is depending on 4 factors. It is depending on the radius here, it is also depending on viscosity, next one it is depending on densities of liquid and on its own material, and also if there is appreciable change in gravity it will depend on that ones also. But if the gravity is not changing appreciably, then that time it is depending on only these 4 portions. Next question, raindrop falling under gravity do not acquire very high velocity. Why? So whenever raindrops are falling, we are just feeling that raindrops are not getting very high velocity, even they are falling from up to a very large heights. So they should get accelerated that because of the gravity. But even after this one, that are not accelerated up to that much, even they are coming with a constant velocity on the earth. That's why we are not just get hit by the raindrops there. So reason behind this one, whenever raindrops is falling, then in that one, after some time, when the situation of critical velocity that is obtained, means whatever is the downward directional force, that is due to viscous force, whatever force is applied to the upward direction, that will be balanced by the weight of the raindrop. So if the viscous force is balanced by the raindrop there, then that time obviously there will be a acceleration in the system becomes 0. Means suppose up to this height raindrops are falling, this is now the earth's surface, and when it is starting to come here, first of all when it is coming continuously, its weight is working in downward direction, but along with the same time at due to the here this velocity of raindrop, as atmospheric airs are present, that atmospheric airs that will comes into the motion, and as relative motion is started due to its viscosity property, they will start to oppose it, and viscous force will act in upward direction. So this upward directional force will start to just balance this downward directional force, and whenever these two will become equal, so suppose at this point they will become equal, then that time acceleration in the raindrop that will be 0. It means velocity will be constant at this point, and this velocity is known as terminal velocity. So after this point up to the earth's surface, raindrops will come with a constant velocity, and this is now the reason why they are not acquiring very high velocity, because the terminal velocity is fixed for them, and they are just coming to the earth by that terminal velocity, not by their original velocity from where they have started to come. Next one, here let's see some numerical problems on these things that we have just now discussed. So the first problem we have that is on the basis of just here viscosity concept. So a plate of metal 10 centimeters square rests on a layer of castor oil 2 mm thick, whose coefficient of viscosity is 15.5 times per centimeter square. Calculate the horizontal force required to move the plate with a speed of 3 cm per second. Also strain rate, calculate strain rate and shearing stress. So as we know, The viscosity property we are obtaining because of the elastic property, and also that can be calculated by the shearing stress to the strain rate. Now just like elastic property of the bulk solid materials, we were calculating by the rate of by a ratio of stress to the strain, and here we are calculating them by the stress upon change in or rate of change of strain. So that is called now the viscosity. So first let's see what are the data in the given here. So the first data is given area of the plate, that can be calculated here, or that is given exactly. Area is given here 10 here centimeter. So it means 100 centimeter square. This will be the area for the plate. Next one, after this, the thickness here given, that is 2 mm. So it means if dx is the thickness, that has value 2 mm. This will be equal to 0.02, or here 0.002 also you can write, or in centimeter let's write down this one 0.2 centimeter only. Let's use this because all the data are in centimeter, so we can use this unit. Next one thing, viscosity, that is given eta has value 15.5 dyne per centimeter square seconds we have. Next one, after this, speed is given. So it means that V is given to us, or dV we can write also, that is having value 3 centimeter per second. So first we have to calculate what will be the strain rate, and here what will be the shearing stress. Along with that one, we have to calculate the horizontal force that is required to move the plate with the speed here that is given. So as we know that horizontal force is known as viscous force, and that viscous force has value, I have just shown you formula also, that is eta A dV by dx here. So let's use this concept to calculate this force now that is needed to give it that velocity. So this will be eta is now 15.5, A has value 100, dV by dx, dV has value 3, dx has value 0.2. So if we will solve it now, that is providing us the value of here force, and this is obtained as 23,250 dynes. So this is now the value of horizontal force. Next question we have, that is strain rate. So strain rate, that is rate of change of strain, and that is now equal to dV by dx from here. So this is now the rate of change of strain, that is the rate of change of velocity with distance here. So this is now equal to 3 by 0.2 from here, and that is obviously equal to 15 second inverse from here. Next one, after this, shearing stress we have to find out. So third one, shearing stress, as eta is equal to now shearing stress to the strain rate. So we can use this formula now to calculate the shearing stress from here. So that will be obviously equal to eta into strain rate. So let's calculate now shearing stress. So that is, suppose that is shearing stress. So this is eta, that will have 15.5, we have this one. Shearing strain rate, that has value now 15, and if we will solve this, this is obtained as the values for this one, that is obviously equal to 232.5. This one dyne per centimeter square. So in this way, first by using the simple formula we can calculate we have calculated one of the problems based on the viscosity. So students, I think today as we have discussed the concepts of viscosity, that is clear just as the revision. In next class, still as we have a lot of numerical problems based on terminal velocities, Stokes law, even Poisson formula that we haven't discussed yet. We will discuss that in next class. Only one of the concept I have used, the primary concept, that is the viscosity, coefficient of viscosity is equal to shearing stress to the rate, just strain rate. So on that one we have seen one of the problem. So let's discuss the rest of the problem for other topics in next class. So thank you students for this.